So if you guys thought this through at all, what you getting into?
We have a reload.
Look, I play in the first one for today. Marshawn is not playing hockey. What are you guys doing with all your hate? Who are you directing it at these days, or are you just sitting at home?
Didn't you already start a fight or two out there with like that one gal?
Every time you post
bullshit.
something about Boston, it's on fire.
It is.
Are you gonna pour that out or what?
People hate.
Are you ready to pour it out?
People hate Boston as much as they love their team.
You'll notice that there's a nautical theme amongst my glasses. I love that on purpose. Are we starting? Is it on? We're rolling?
We're recording.
All right. Well, welcome back to podcast number 2 of Hot Sauce. Welcome back. We changed arenas a little bit. We got the game on behind us. We'll talk a little bit about that tonight, hopefully. The hot item of the night is number 2 habanero pizza from our local Flying Pie Pizzeria, as well as a little concoction of extra jalapeno pizza from another place. And then Whit was kind enough to bring the whiskey of the evening, unofficial sponsorship from, there you go, the Old Forester. It's backwards on there, but the Old Forester 100 proof. So we're going to try to work our way through that and hopefully taste more of it than we did last time, if our mouths can retain some taste buds.
Bottled in blonde.
All right.
I was hoping the 100 proof would kind of cut some of the burn.
Sure.
That's where I was going with that.
Sure.
Numb the mouth a little bit.
Well, shall we break the seal and have a bite of the old pizza?
Yeah.
All right.
Here we go.
They do a triple hob, but these guys.
But these guys. You're right there.
Mm-hmm. Warm, spicy, not too bad.
It'll build.
It'll build.
Yeah.
Very nice.
That's hot.
A little bit toasty. Sure, it's good. All right, so first topic of the night. Why don't we talk about the first couple rounds of the playoffs are now over. We're into the conference finals. Yeah, Boston didn't make the cut.
Yeah. Well,
Golf
somebody
clap for
else
that.
didn't either.
Some teams went to 7 games, some teams didn't.
Like it matters now.
Right. So there are 4 hockey teams still playing. You have the Golden Knights and the Dallas team. Are they the Mavericks still, or the anyway? So the Dallas team, tough series there. Golden Knights or the Dallas. What are they? The Dallas
North Stars.
Constellations, something like that.
They're the North Stars.
Yeah. The Dallas nobody gives a shit. And then we have the Tampa Bay Lightning, who actually managed to get out of the first round for the first year in a row, so good for them. And then obviously the Islanders, who clearly need to add to their cup regimen, which is great. So a good couple rounds of series. The bubble seems to still be over on COVID, which is good news. Still popping 0 tests, which is great. You know,
Heard any.
well, they've all consolidated to the Edmonton arena now, which is great.
You'd almost start to think that it's not all that big of a deal.
Almost. Unless you know somebody that's had it.
Right.
You know, you might find out that it's
Fair enough.
So that actually brings up a point. You know, I think, you know, we're starting to get our beer league teams back together now. And a couple of us have been playing for the last few weeks. And personally, I haven't heard of but 1 or 2 people that I play with that have actually had COVID, and nobody who's gotten it at the rink.
Right.
All right. So the 1 or 2 people I know that got it from workspaces and not from the actual ice surface.
Right.
You know. And so whatever the NHL is doing in their bubbles, they're doing it right. You know, sounds like you know, they continue to do a good job of that. They brought in 2 teams from Toronto, and they've both been cleared, which is great. So it sounds like we're going to make it hopefully through the whole Stanley Cup without having anybody be unfit to play from COVID.
Man, that would be really
Knock on
good
wood.
because that would free up a lot of sports.
Right. So, you know, we're looking for hopefully getting these teams to start playing another season come December, right? I think is what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to suck for a lot of teams, especially the ones that are still in the Stanley Cup finals. But hey, the cup is worth it, right? So, So good news for the NHL. We're happy to see it. We're happy that they're still playing. Apparently, the number 1 sport in America started last night, and that was not as much fun to watch. So Anyway, so good news on that front.
I
So
don't watch it, so I don't know. I'm a college football guy.
there you go. So I don't know if you guys have any opinions on NHL stuff at all, but happy to see it.
Well, I actually have a question for you about
Sure.
the NHL stuff. How's
Oh.
that? So
Yep, that's sweat.
it is wet. It's,
Mhm.
I told you it's a little warm. I'm hesitating on my next bite. So in the playoffs, what you've seen so far, there's been a lot of no calls away from the puck, right? A lot of let them play. If it didn't affect the scoring chance, good, right?
Mhm.
How much of that do you let go? And at what point in time do the hits away from the puck start to impact the scoring opportunities? Because they're going after those high-end players, they're hitting them hard. It's some pretty thug type hockey going on with no calls. Where does that?
My opinion on that, you're a Devils guy. So the 90s, like my opinion on that, I'm a 90s hockey fan. So you let that go until fights start slowing down the game. In my opinion, I like.
You let the enforcers manage.
Yeah, it's a part of the game. Let it be.
Let the team manage.
That's an interesting point, though, about this playoffs alone. This playoffs had a humongous number of fights for a playoff. I mean, almost nobody fights in the playoffs historically, and there's been fights almost every game now. And I think that's good for hockey. I think that fighting is still. I'm a big fan of fighting in hockey for a purpose. You got to protect your good skill players. Yeah. We've seen a ton of 5-minute majors and game misconducts. Which I think are the ones I've seen deserved it. I think this is a weird scenario going on, but to your point, there's been a lot of stuff. The refs, I think, are unsure how to ref. I mean, I think without fans being there, they're getting less pressure from the crowd to make a call or not to make a call.
Right.
I think they're more diligent at catching things behind the play than they would be normally because they're caught up in the action.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I think the refereeing has been pretty damn good so far. I mean, we've all got complaints about calls against our team. Those of us who have teams in the playoffs.
Yeah.
1-1.
Yeah, 1-1. Great. Good for Tampa Bay. Not. Anyway, so yeah, I think, the refereeing has been on par. I think they've again, I'm surprised there's been suspensions in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
You've had Ryan Reeves suspended and you had Killorn suspended last night. I mean, you're getting guys suspended for doing stupid crap in the playoffs. And maybe people are just thinking it's such a short playoff and so compressed that they can get away with more and be more physical. But you take the Colorado-Dallas series, for instance. Colorado is a highly skilled team, but not very tough.
Right.
And so you take a team like Dallas
They
who's
don't have
playing.
any thugs.
Right. Well, yeah, and Dallas has a bunch of thugs, right? So they got a bunch of guys that play on the edge. There's some skilled players. They've got a bunch of size, and they punched Colorado in the mouth for 5 of the games in that series, and ultimately they won the series probably because of attrition, right? It was a war of attrition. They just started beating them up, and Colorado didn't have enough forces left at the end of the game.
That's what happened last year in the Stanley Cup final.
Right, and they're doing it again this year with Vegas. I mean, I think Vegas has a little more muscle to be able to push back.
Yeah.
Obviously, last game when Dallas won, in overtime, I didn't watch much of that, but I think Vegas is going to come out of that series because I think they can punch back and they have skill. They have goal scorers. Dallas has not shown up from a skill standpoint yet, in my opinion. Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin have been really, besides physically, no shows.
Let me jump in on this though. They're holding their own without those two. What happens when those kids get lit up?
Right. Well, you got a bunch of rookies that are scoring, or guys that are third liners scoring your goals. That can't last all playoffs. I mean, it's just,
traditionally it does though. The playoffs are about your second, third, and fourth line.
Yeah.
Because everybody's focused on shutting down that first line.
Mhm.
Like it's always been that way. As long as I've been watching hockey,
Teams with depth go
the
first.
number one line is eliminated in the playoffs.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that it's been fun to watch so far. I'm happy with what I've seen. Nobody's going to argue with watching hockey at a high level. It's a little bit weird not having fans there. I had to laugh the other night when Blake Como got a stick popped out of his hands into the stands and just laid on top of a mat for 30 minutes till some rink guy went over and grabbed it. Kids in the stands have been fighting over that in a heartbeat in the real game. But
yeah.
So this is funny that you mentioned that about the fans because I'm watching the first college football game of the season, and they don't let any fans in there either, or like 10% or something.
It's a pretty small amount.
Yeah.
Anyways, during the game, between one of the plays, all of a sudden you hear,
Somebody's car alarm going.
Somebody's car alarm's going off in the parking lot. You can hear it through the audio because there's no fans to drown it out.
Wow.
Yeah, I hope this doesn't last forever because this is not the right way to watch sports. I mean, kids growing up have to have heroes and they want to go watch their heroes play in person, and you can't do that right now. It's ridiculous, So, so hopefully this goes away. I think, honestly, I don't want to get political, but I think come November things are going to change drastically on how we handle things, no matter who wins. So
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's one point. How's everybody doing their pizza? You surviving?
I'm surviving.
Yeah.
But it's really hot. I've only had 2 bites.
Man, you might have gotten lighter since last time.
Yeah,
we did this.
I'm a little sweaty. Yeah.
No, I'm sweaty, but it's not killing me.
Maybe it has something to do with you shaving that beard down.
Yeah, you gotta get that.
I need to get my beard
Yeah.
game back on. Is that what you're saying? My toughness. No. So what I was trying to go for there was to find out what you guys felt about the reffing and the fairness of it, and whether or not it has a big impact on the game. I feel like the non-calls against, away from the scoring opportunities are still impacting those players because they're not making the big plays because they're getting beat up, which is kind of interesting and fun to watch. But
I'm a Boston fan, so I got to bow out of this because Boston fans aren't allowed to complain about the refs. So
there you go.
Well, when you do it too much historically, it's the little boy that cried wolf or whatever. But
Absolutely.
I think the Stars, the Stars in the NHL, I think have done either going to show or not, right? I think I don't know, as we get in these later rounds, to your point, you have to have second, third, and fourth line scoring to make it anyway. But I think the goals 4 per game are still at like 4, per team. It's ridiculous
Awesome.
scoring. So
yeah, it's great. It's great for fans.
yeah,
it's good.
Mhm.
It's bright.
Hmm.
I don't know if that's a good descriptor for a bourbon, but
Yeah.
it's bright.
Seems like an odd description. Okay.
It seems, like when you have a light summery beer, it has that.
It's not very burny. Doesn't
Yeah.
have that
No, it's smooth.
kick right in the chest.
Yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about coming off the NHL a little bit and going to our beer league stuff. Because the 3 of us are on the same team for beer league, and we're fortunate enough to be able to play in a league that's starting up. I've read a lot online through the BLPA that we're all members of and follow, and I see daily, people complaining a lot about not being able to get back on the ice at all, even now for even pickup stuff. And I feel fortunate that we're in a town that has a ice surface that needs to make money.
A little more conservative.
Right. Well, and that's a big deal. But at the end of the day, we have a pro team that wants to play. They've given us the opportunity as beer league players to show that we can socially distance and play well in that facility.
Play by the rules.
Play by the rules, right? And so we're fortunate enough to be able to get back on the ice, hopefully by the 21st to the 24th, somewhere in that time frame.
That means I got to keep my clothes on.
Yep. For those of you that are listening and watching now, our rules when we start will be that you have to show up to the rink in your undergarments, your compression shorts, compression tops. If you wear compression shorts with a cup, that kind of stuff, you have to show up with that already on.
Or a Jane.
So if you go commando, that's not going to work, obviously. So you got to show up to the rink in that. You have to wear a mask in the facility when you come in. There'll be a place for you to get dressed while you're socially distanced. Once you get dressed, you don't have to wear a mask on the ice. We are allowed to use the benches, which is a huge deal. Those of us that have played pickup have not been able to use benches so far, which is really bad on line changes. It's really inefficient.
It blows.
So we use the benches, 5 people on a bench at a time, and the other people have to sit in the hallway and change that way. Fortunately, those of us that play defense don't have to come off the bench ever, because there's only 4
Or
of us.
really work at all.
Yeah. So we're kind of excited. We get to play the closest thing to real hockey than anybody else in the Treasure Valley gets to play at this point. So I just wonder what your guys' thoughts were on that. If you're excited to get back, we lost some players on our team, unfortunately, for various reasons, and due to COVID, and we're gonna miss them. But
They didn't die.
no, they didn't die.
No,
At least we don't think so. I've only heard from 2 of them or one
just
of them.
health concerns.
Right. So
Health concerns. Yep.
which is a big deal. You know, I think people that if you're nervous about your health, the best thing to do is to bow out for now. Hockey's going to go on, you know, and hopefully this time next year the furor has died down and we can get back to our lives. But I'm
Just the
sure
way you said that.
yeah, well, you know, maybe they're dead. I don't know. I've only talked to one of them now, so I don't, you know. But anyway, your guys' thoughts on that and what you think about the new rules and
I'm very excited to get back at it. I did not realize that we were going to have a changing area. It looks to me that it's going to be much more prepared and open than I thought it was going to be.
Mhm.
So I'm very excited about it. I'm looking forward to the opportunity to go play.
yeah. Well,
I understand this is scary for a lot of people, and so I've always been kind of a live and let live guy.
Mhm.
And if you don't want to play hockey in the COVID era, man, I respect that.
sure.
I'm willing to take that risk because I'm just a mediocre human. So there's not a whole lot to risk.
No disagreement there.
No, to me, playing the game means more than the risk
Mhm.
at this point. And it's not because of the game as much as it is the team.
Yeah,
No.
being around, dude.
Camaraderie.
Dude,
that you get
mentally-
together. Yes.
Mentally, this is a trip. Like this is fucking with some people, and being around people that you care about supersedes the game even.
Oh, absolutely. Yep. Although I'm a little bummed that we're not going to be able to do locker room time.
Mhm.
And I'm sure we'll figure
Yeah.
something
Well,
out for a little bit of
yeah.
social interaction. But
We go out in the parking lot.
Yeah, you know, I'm with you guys. I think that the social aspect of hockey is much more important to me than the game itself. I've been fortunate enough to be part of multiple teams in multiple areas that have had these very close-knit families of teams. And, you know, it's as much as I love hanging out with my kids and my wife all the time and doing stuff around the house, if you can't go out with your friends and do something you love, drink beer, play hockey, you know, bullshit like we're doing now, it's just not worth it. And I would much rather take the risk. You know, I'm 47 years old. I've lived a good life. I would much rather for myself take the risk to go out and hang out with my friends than regret not doing that on my deathbed. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just where I'm at, you know, and my wife understands that and my kids understand that. And they're frustrated too. You know, they want to go out and do stuff as well. And my wife's pissed off that youth hockey isn't playing right now, but I am, you know, and I understand that too, because that sucks for them.
So it's also 9/11.
Right.
And when you think about the risks that some people take,
Yeah.
the unselfish risks that some people take in this world, skating with the threat of COVID seems a little silly.
it does.
In my personal opinion, this is not saying anything about anybody else and their personal decisions. Just my feelings are, as far as COVID's concerned, I consider it to be at the towers and I'm running towards it, not away from it.
Sure.
If that makes any sense.
No, I mean, today hits home for a ton of stuff, right? You know, it's I
It's
was
deep.
well, today for as bad as stuff is, and again, I don't want to get into this political crap, but
Okay.
for as bad as life is right now,
Fair
from
enough.
COVID, from politics, you name it, 9/11 hits home pretty hard because there's the majority of people that are out there, you know, burning down, you know, cities and all that never had to live through 9/11. They were 6 when that happened.
Right.
And those of us that were not, that remember exactly what we were doing that day, it's a slap in the face when you say never forget. And I have to believe that's what happened with, you know, Pearl Harbor and all those things. You know, is the people that lived through that time frame of Pearl Harbor
Right.
probably said something very similar to never forget.
Mm-hmm.
What happened?
Mostly
years
they
go by.
say you guys are a bunch of pussies.
Right. Well, 20 years go by. Yeah. You know, so anyway, point of this conversation is should you choose to do it, and should you choose to believe that you can do it safely, go play hockey. Go have fun with your friends. Go drink beers with your buddies in the locker room if you can. If you can't do it in the locker room, find a place afterwards. Safely go drink beers by somebody's car, truck, go to a local bar that's open, whatever you got to do. Don't lose those relationships because of some bullshit virus that wants to kill us all. Live the life you have now, because when you're on your deathbed and you look back, don't have any regrets. That's where I'm at.
When you
and like and share your favorite podcast.
And it better
Allow
be
me
this
to
one.
not just let that
When
slide
you
by.
talk about people burning down their cities, are you talking about a couple who happen to have a boy, or are you talking about Antifa?
Or anybody in
Wow.
Boston.
I just got back from San Jose, and that was really disappointing.
Mhm.
It felt like, you ever seen
And what a shit show.
Total
it is.
Recall?
Yeah.
That's what it felt like at the airport, looking out that glass.
No.
It looked like that scene in Total Recall where he was looking out at Mars and everything was red.
You
and
blabbed about Mars, Quaid!
That was not a good impression.
Wow.
That was a great impression. And if you're ever watching Arnold, I'm available. Yeah, this so that brings up a good point for a non-hockey topic is all the fires going on the West Coast, and Colorado's on fire, Oregon's on fire, California's on fire, Idaho's on fire, and man, it's crazy. This 2020 can't end fast enough. What a shit show this has been.
Well, rumor. I've heard and seen some headlines and some rumor stuff in the news. When I say
Pornhub?
rumor.
That Mother Nature is
some-
punishing people.
No, some of the fires, a fair number of them were started intentionally by people. So instead of rioting, they're going out and starting fires to,
Super.
kind of give the big middle finger to everybody else. And it's like, how dumb can you be to burn down the country you live in, or especially your area? Because they didn't travel far out of their area to live in.
Well, to what point, right?
Yeah, what's the value?
What's the end goal?
Yeah, if you want anarchy, it's you're already on your way there, and it just doesn't end well.
Whoa.
It doesn't end well.
Let's just
So hockey.
sports.
So
Were any
Whiskey.
of the people starting fires hockey players? No, just kidding.
Some people have said when I'm on the ice, I'm on fire.
Yes,
so I
they
do
have.
want to make a little side comment here, side topic. Nick Fleehart, I'm talking to you now about this BLPA Dex tournament you do here. I'm a little bit disappointed, hurt that you haven't gotten something closer to Boise, Idaho. And I can appreciate why Boise wouldn't be a huge seller and stop for you.
Nick, I'm a huge supporter, and I do not necessarily have the same feelings.
Nick, that's bullshit, and he's lying.
You
I think we would like you to either get closer to Utah again or get into Boise, because a lot of us want to play in those Dex events.
Would it be out of line to grab another one?
Not at all. Grab as many as you want.
Okay.
So
Grab two then.
support your BLPA, support beer drinking, support people randomly getting together to play hockey, but come to Boise, man. We got 3 surfaces we can play on. Ideally, 2 realistically for a tournament like that. We'd love to have your caravan up here, and your buddy with the mullet would be great too.
Yeah.
But on that note, we would love to have you guys up here and see some hockey in this area and support the cause. So that's my 2 cents on that. And Ben agrees; he's just afraid of you.
I'm not afraid of anybody. Bring it on. I like Nick.
Good kid.
Yeah.
Seems like he's got his shit together.
Yeah.
So back on your hockey topic.
Now,
You were mentioning that there was some trades and/or contract negotiations going
Ah.
on recently that you would like to touch upon. I thought maybe it'd be a good time to.
thanks for narrowing me back in, because
I blacked out for a second. What did you say?
strange. So the hot news
Not
today is that Robin Lehner, who was arguably the hottest free agent goaltender on the market, Satterley, So the hottest free agent goaltender on the market signed a 5-year deal, or is signing a 5-year deal after the playoffs with Vegas, which obviously puts the Flower out of town. So my
No respect.
Yeah. So, you bring in a guy 2 years ago from Pittsburgh who basically energized that entire town. He was the star player on that team for the last 2 seasons. Has done nothing but bust his ass to make incredible saves and keep that team in. And he
No
gets
respect.
supplanted by a new coach and a new goalie. And now it appears the Flower is looking for a new team.
Yeah, but he came from Pittsburgh, so he was expecting it.
Right. So they're used to getting shafted. But so the question I have for
many
you guys
Pittsburgh
is,
fans in this city. God damn.
so well, it's a sad state of affairs. So the thing that I would ask from you guys is, your team. So New Jersey's got a lot of needs, but
Ouch.
yeah, well, playoffs. So besides PK Subban, what's your goaltender situation like? And would somebody like the Flower look good on a team like yours?
Wait a minute.
We'll come to Rask in a
I
second.
don't feel
PK
that
Subban?
he's been playing for the Devils. Have you not been paying attention to this?
I
Not
thought
a
you were
goalie.
talking about goaltenders.
And,
Well, yeah,
and his
he's-
girlfriend's.
The other Subban is the
Um,
goaltender,
He
right?
flops like a goalie. But I don't understand where you're going with this.
Anyhow, yeah, I would think that they would definitely benefit. I would say that would be an improvement.
Do you still have
to
Corey
their line.
Schneider on your team?
We do. That would be
Yeah.
our primary goalie, as far as I know at this point. I've not been watching the news and/or hockey a lot lately because,
COVID. Yeah.
well, and we're not in the playoffs.
I get him confused with Danny Snyder, the guy who buried the Redskins.
Yeah.
The Washington.
Football.
Zzz.
Ish.
Zzz.
So young man. So the rumor is that Fleury's got a 10-team, at least 10-team no trade clause. I don't know who those 10
What?
teams are. Right. So I don't know. That leaves 20 teams, right? So
Is he planning on retiring?
his
He
nickname is
probably
the
just
Flower.
doesn't like
so-
some of them.
Oh,
right.
all the teams in.
Do you want to go to San Jose? Nobody wants to go to San Jose, even if you're not playing hockey in San Jose.
I was
I like
just
the
in
weather.
San Jose. It's,
I like the weather.
I'm
Not
not
right
real.
now. no.
Hard pass. So, but is Snyder your future goaltender? I mean, you looked at Montreal, who's got Carey Price, and they just picked up Jake
yeah.
Allen.
Yeah.
Right? So they got Jake Allen, right?
but
So,
yeah, I was all excited about that.
well, sure. I
I
mean,
just don't feel like Snyder's a take you to the playoffs type goalie. He's a solid mid-season goalie. He'd be a fantastic.
Would you
backup.
say a solid number 2?
There you go. A solid
With corn?
number two. And he'd be somebody you could count on and bring in. But yeah, he's not a take it to the cup guy. He just doesn't have the skill set, I think, to carry a team that far. But also in his defense, he doesn't have any defense in front of him either. So
right.
it's really hard to say what it would look like with a different team in front of you.
Yeah, it's interesting because you guys, got rid of Hall, which,
I know.
the returns on something like that happen down the road. They're not this year, right? So I think New Jersey will come back to dominance again, probably 3 to 5 years is my guess, with good GM activity, with good coaching, some stability there. Corey Schneider will be out of his prime at that point, so you're gonna have to backfill that. I'm not saying that not Theo Fleury, that
Flower.
Flower.
Fleury.
What's his first name?
McFlurry.
Yeah, McFlurry. Yeah, so McFlurry won't be there at that time either. But so that's obviously, I believe in most teams you have to have a good goaltender, and a superstar. You don't have that right now, right? I think Hughes maybe in a couple of years. His brother seems to have leapfrogged everybody.
Yep.
So I think that's going to be interesting to see. Boston, on the other hand, Boston's got a arguably outstanding goaltender who left the bubble.
Easy.
Yeah, I'm trying to be gentle. He left the bubble. I'm not going to badmouth the guy because it came out that he did that for family reasons,
Yep.
and it's hard
gotta
to
support
unless I'm in his family, I can't argue with him.
Unless
So,
you know all
right.
the facts.
Right.
Let it
So,
go.
but your backup goalie shit the bed. Pretty much a bag of Swiss cheese.
So here's the thing about the backup goalie at Boston. He's a great one-game goalie to fill in. He's great. You give him one game to fill in, and he will do some miraculous stuff. He has no attrition. So when he goes back to back, it gets bad really quick. And I
saw that.
I thought for a backup being thrown into the fire in the playoffs against a strong team, I thought he performed pretty well. Everybody that I know and don't know in Boston right now is doing this. You got to be kidding me. So, but everybody in Boston also is, you win or everything sucks.
Sure, that's Boston sports.
So nobody, it is the most myopic town when it comes to sports. And if you're not 100% winning, you're the biggest loser ever. Get out of town. F you.
So let me ask this question, because this is really where I'm going with this whole thing is there a role for somebody like Fleury as a backup goaltender in a town like Boston, starting goaltender in a town like New Jersey? You know, is there a role for somebody like that? Is he too, out there is a star too bright to be,
It's entirely up to him and how he wants to go out. Like he's the talent that if he was a backup goalie anywhere, he'd wear a ring. So it's what's important to you. Do you want
2 years? That's what he's worth, in my opinion.
Yeah. Forgive me. Does he have a ring?
He does.
Okay. He has a ring.
Were you
So-
not watching hockey when the Knights came out? Were you missing the whole?
They didn't win it.
No,
Sure.
but he won it with Pittsburgh.
Yeah, he won it with Pittsburgh. So that's I couldn't remember.
Crosby's
So-
first, as I believe.
So yeah. Chicklets. I like to call them chicklets.
Yeah.
So
Could show a drive-in movie on his teeth.
like he may be satisfied with his one ring.
Yeah.
I certainly would be. But then again, somebody who has gotten that far in their sport, you have to assume that they're never satisfied. Then on top of that, the ego. Can you be a backup? I would say certainly he could join whatever teams are available. Anybody who's a playoff contender, he could be the difference,
Well, so here's the interesting thing is
in my opinion.
there's been this really crazy surge of backup goalies showing up in the playoffs where they shouldn't have showed up, right? So you look at Vancouver. Thatcher Demko comes out and plays 3 amazing games for his team as a backup goaltender. Kudobin for Dallas,
Robin is doing
right? Amazing, right?
phenomenal
So-
right now.
Humongous goaltending saves, and you have Ben Bishop, who's your starter. You have, the Vegas guy, Lettner, who was technically the backup when this whole thing started, and so you have Fleury, who's
I don't know if you call him a backup.
you wouldn't at this point, right?
because it's staggered.
No, he's basically won the job, and that's what the contract says today. So you have a goalie market out there now with a bunch of goalies that are be like, look, I'm a starter. I'm not playing backup on my team anymore. So here we go. So you have teams like, and I'll give you Colorado, for instance. Colorado has Grubauer. Well, I'm going to talk about my team.
Okay.
Grubauer, who is a hell of a good goalie when he's healthy. He has not been healthy for 2 seasons now. He can't make it through the entire playoffs without getting hurt. So Grubauer, in my opinion, needs to be replaced by somebody who's a little more resilient. Francois, who's the backup for Grubauer, made it through 2 games before he got hurt.
I can't hear the
You know?
name without hearing McGruber.
Okay. So Francois. So then you have Hutchinson, who came out, who's just not ready to play in the shell yet, but he played a good couple of games. So you have a team like Colorado, who's arguably on the brink of a Stanley Cup. They've got all the firepower,
I
right?
believe that.
All the firepower, not the goaltending, not the toughness. So we got to fix 2 problems there, in my opinion. So Colorado's a buyer for goaltending for sure, right? I was hoping Leonard would still be on the market when that came out because I thought Leonard would be a good fit. Right? He's a big goalie. We need somebody who's got size. We need a bulky goalie. You got a
The
Thatcher.
Walrus.
Yeah, the Walrus if he's
He's
available.
available.
I think Toronto's going to sign him though.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'll bring that up in a second because there was a whole Twitter thing about this Toronto douchebag saying Colorado's just shit and Toronto's better than Colorado. I will take that fight twice a day, any day of the week.
Especially in the playoffs.
Yeah, you guys are tons of talent, shit team. Anyway, interesting discussion. But
It's a playing card team.
I digress. So my point is though, is it's basically a great market for people looking for goaltenders because there's several starters from this season that are even looking for jobs because their backups popped out in the playoffs and said, hey, here I am, I don't suck.
Yeah.
And what we see happen, this is
That's
true in all.
not smart though.
But this is true in all sports. Is that we see somebody play really good for 3 games and we sign them to a $15 million contract for 3 years because I blew my wad in 3 games in the playoffs, and suddenly we think they're an 82 game a year goaltender,
There's
right?
a reason
Well, if
why
that was
they're
the
a
case,
playoff
there'd
team.
be a Zamboni driver
backup.
with a huge contract.
Well, right. So you're gonna have teams. You're gonna have teams that are gonna be buying goaltenders. Corey Crawford, shit regular season goalie, shit, good playoff goalie.
I think you put Crawford in the same grouping as the Fleur.
Sure,
I would say so.
Sure.
I would put him
if
in
he
the
can
same
say, but
category.
he's got concussion issues. So Crawford, his melon's all jacked.
Who cares, man?
But,
that guy uses the force,
But
man. When it comes down to it,
McFlurry has
Yeah.
been said to have psycho issues, like
all
I don't
goalies,
really, but I don't.
all goalies are fucked.
His apparently are somewhat more extreme. That they've had to hire psychologists, team
So-
psychologists, just for him to
Right.
try to keep him from just absolutely veering left into the
So
burrow pit.
yeah,
I
the
mean,
best thing to do when you have a goaltender with mental issues is put them down in the center of Las Vegas.
Oxycodone.
Las Vegas is the cure to all mental
Stay away from
problems.
oxycodone.
Everybody
If you have any
knows that.
oxycodone
honestly, when he went there though, but he went there as the chosen
or Percocet.
Right.
head goalie for that team, and he stood on his head. He had his best season
Yeah.
that I'd seen him play. So
Well, he made that team relevant.
he did.
They had
He
good
was
players,
very
but
well.
he made that team relevant.
Yep.
And Vegas is a really good team, right? I mean, I know you don't like Vegas, but I'm very happy for what they're doing. I get they got basically handed a playoff team, but they've held up to it.
Look,
Right.
do you agree that crazy goalies are the best goalies? I mean, Patrice Roy
Yeah,
was off the charts nuts.
Let's talk about Dan Satterley. Yeah, that's right, Dan. You're like a menopausal wife of mine. I mean, look, dude,
You're my favorite player.
you're my favorite player too. You're a fantastic goalie, but you're as emotional as a 14-year-old girl. I mean, that's the truth at the end of the day. And I don't care if you edit that or not.
Seeing red.
But Danny, I love you. Save pucks. We'll keep doing that. But the point is, the point is that goalies are crazy for a reason. I played goalie for most of my career, and you've got to be
That
well, you gotta-
explains a lot.
you got to be insane to get hit in the face of the puck. I mean, remember back in the late '90s, goalies were trying to head the puck out of the what's that?
We might be able to pull a
Fleury
Kurt
does
Voss.
that too.
The Kings
We might be
goalie.
able to pull a Kurt Voss out of retirement if we really needed a playoff goalie in an injury situation.
Oh, boss.
Man,
Is he gonna bring his golf cart heater to the rink?
Yes.
talk about mental. Oh, I'm kidding. You're a great guy.
Oh
Yeah.
he's fantastic.
Um,
He's a goalie.
Same thing.
Anyway, so the point of the conversation was simply that we were trying to figure out the goaltending. So there's a lot of goalies going to be looking for jobs that were starters this year on their league teams, and the playoffs hit, and now they're suddenly looking for new jobs, and so that's amazing, and I think for the first time in a long time that I can remember, there's going to be goalie surplus, like a goalie
Right.
surplus of good
A
goalies.
decent goalie. Sir.
Right, not shit goalies from the A, but or the E even, but goalies that are NHL starters on any other team coming to your team as a starter or a backup.
But look at the rookies that are coming out now on
Oh,
the offensive side of it.
Yeah.
The hands are ridiculous. The skills are ridiculous. Coming straight out of college and those lower leagues, and they are coming in and just lighting goalies up with ridiculous moves and
Oh,
shots.
Wait,
So when you say a good goalie base, shit, you got to be really good to be in that class right now.
when you look at the goals that have been scored a lot during the playoffs,
Mm-hmm.
overwhelmingly the teams that are scoring multiple goals are the ones that are shooting from the point and getting tips, where the goalie can't react fast enough, right? So you're getting a ton of traffic, and this is classic hockey, right? So you're getting traffic in front of the net. The goalie can't see the puck. You have guys with just phenomenal hands in the front of the net. A Landeskog, a Sagan, a Stone, any of those guys.
What
that
happened?
Marchand still sucks. So you have all these guys that have just phenomenal
Jealousy.
hands
It's all
that
jealousy.
can just drop the puck in front of the goalie and score. And you're getting defensemen now, which is the other thing that I want to bring up tonight as well, is this new rash of defensemen that are these small guys, that are fucking great skaters, phenomenal skaters, right? Cale Makar, Quinn Hughes, phenomenal skaters, right?
Small defensemen are a waste of skin.
Right. If you want to crush somebody, I would agree. But if you want to score goals, they're pretty damn good.
But the nice thing is they're gonna beat you back. Like you get the breakaway, and then you don't have the puck.
So what's interesting is
You're
if you look
familiar
at
with that move.
you look at a guy, you look at some of the standard defensemen on the market, right? So these guys are classic two-way defensemen. They can score goals. What's the guy? Shea, not Shea Weber. No, not Shea Weber, but Shea, the guy from Vegas.
I don't watch Vegas.
So the defenseman for Vegas is a big dude. He plays a good stay-at-home D, but he can also score goals. He has moves. He has good hands. He can get in there. He's not a Quinn Hughes who can skate through everybody, get a shot off, and then get his fast butt back. So you have these guys that are this new surge to young, fast defensemen that are very handsy. They could play center on almost anywhere. Shea Theodore, right? So you have these guys that can play good. They can play a wing or a center on a normal line, as a good hockey player.
Yeah.
And maybe they're not as tough defensively. They're not knocking bodies around. They're not Ian Cole. They're not a Shea Weber, right? They're not PK Subban where they're putting body on people. But I'm sorry, they're not grabbing their ankle and falling down and then saying, hey, my ski girlfriend should come save me. But no, what I am saying though is that
Well done, by the way.
is that the Norris Trophy is going to go to somebody like Tampa Bay's Swedish defenseman. I can't think of his name either because I'm having a whiskey night. But you have these guys.
Sweet.
Markstrom? No, that's a goalie for Vancouver. Anyway, so
We should drink more.
yes, drinking is good unless you're not old enough. But anyway, so my point though is that you have this new surge of offensive defensemen that are smaller guys, fast, that can play the game. You have the defenseman Victor Hedman. You have Victor Hedman who plays for Tampa Bay, who's still
with the Google.
who's still a stalwart big boy defenseman, but he scores goals from the point. He's got 7 goals, I think, this playoff so far. I mean, the guy's putting goals in. I watch hockey.
Tommy Orr.
Yeah. But so it's just interesting thing. So my question to you guys is do we have a Norris Trophy winner in the next 4 or 5 years that is one of these new elite defensemen that are goal scorers that are not traditionally two-way defensemen, right?
No.
Or do you still have somebody like a Victor Hedman, Nicky Lidstrom?
Not in my perfect world.
Because Nick Lidstrom still, in my opinion, Nick Lidstrom is still the best defenseman to ever walk the earth. That guy played the game the right way.
I think this is
What do you think of like a Burns on San Jose? Like he's a goal scoring animal.
So Brent Burns started as a forward. He played forward
That's
a lot
what
of his
I'm saying.
career, right?
He fits that category that you're talking about.
His goal scoring is embarrassingly ugly to watch when he goes down to one knee and shoots, but it goes in the net, which is it makes me want to puke every time he scores. But so Brent Burns, besides the fact that he looks like a truck hit him in the face and then backed up and shit on him, I like Brent Burns. I like his game though. I like his game. The dude, he's a big boy that looks like he's been homeless on meth for a while. But
It sounds like you relate to him more than
maybe
you
a little
hate
bit.
him.
I've got all my teeth.
Right.
They're all
No, he
real.
plays for San Jose, which is why I brought it up. So
I don't mind
I
San
like,
Jose.
I like pulling
I'm a
these
Joe
teams that he doesn't
Thornton
like.
guy. We'll go to San Jose players in a second because I've got a few comments about those pricks.
Well, there's the one that
Joe Pavelski, who used to be
Pavelski,
there,
who just went to
can
Dallas,
suck his dick. That guy. Anyway,
Well,
I'm gonna come
right
back
now
to
he's
those
I
guys.
just got back from San Jose and I went down to the arena and witnessed a homeless guy peeing on the arena.
Sometimes they're just smarter than you think.
California is beautiful.
It's not near the beach, right? Anyway, so the point I was making though is that I think that you have some defensemen. And I agree. Brent Burns is a fantastic defenseman.
but he fits in that kind of category of
He's a
not your
character.
classic.
Right, he's not a defensive defenseman. He's an offensive defenseman, right? So
He's
he
a
played
character
forward most of his
too,
career.
which makes the NHL more entertaining.
Absolutely.
I
Right.
like that. And he's a nice character. He's not like a Deion Sanders, I'm full of myself kind of. He's a character that people enjoy to watch, not.
Sure, I would agree with that. Going back to that, I'm kind of an against the California team kind of guy.
Right.
You have those guys. I generally like Pavelski's game. I think he's been a douche when he's with Dallas, but that's playoff hockey. and I get it, and I struggle with that because
it's the role he was given, and he's fulfilling it.
No, the role that was given to that guy was Corey Perry. Corey Perry can get fucking hit by a truck and I'd be okay with that. That guy's a piece of shit, dirty fucking hockey player. He's the Brad Marchand of the West Coast.
He is ornery.
He's a piece of crap.
Yeah. So careful how you label people. Okay.
Piece of shit. Sorry, he's not a piece of crap. He's a piece
not
of shit.
One of the top 5 scorers in the league. All right.
He's got really good hands and he can score goals in front of the net, but he's about as dirty as you can get.
So you have to put him in the same category as like a Kopitar or somebody like that.
Or a
But
Cook.
see, Kopitar is a good skilled player.
What about Cook?
He is.
He outscores Cook. But
I don't know. Corey Perry needs to retire and die somewhere where nobody loves him. But
I like people who people hate.
yeah, look. So here's the argument. It said Brad Marchand is a good hockey player. That's just an asshole as a person.
Oh man, I bet that hurt to say.
Yeah. Well, I think he's a great player. I'm not gonna look. I won't deny talent. And he's a fucking asshole.
So,
But he's a
okay.
great player.
So
Right?
let's set the record straight. The reason why I like Brad Marchand so much
Because nobody else
is
does.
not well. That that
the
is
biggest reason, actually.
That is no, it's not the biggest reason. And I want people to understand this. This guy got into the league any way he possibly could. And the way he
By
could
licking
was
the other team.
no, go fuck yourself. The
It was one time.
Twice.
the way he got into the league was being a pest and getting under the skin of other players and being that utility guy that just
He
that
took
ju-
penalties.
he just-
he
yeah he
took
just
people out of their game.
he used the rules to his advantage to weed his way in. Well, so that guy usually washes out.
Sure.
Eventually, somebody replaces him who does a little bit of that, who has a lot more skill. To his credit and mad respect to this guy, he went and found somebody in Canada and he said, I want to live long in the NHL. I will do whatever it takes to be the best player in the NHL.
Sweet, Willie.
He worked his ass off. Listen,
No, I'm kidding.
Listen, to go from a guy who is a utility player entering the league and to work on his skill set and become, at the time when he did it, the #1 scorer in the league, it was like mad respect to a guy who is built to be a utility player and become
he's not a
a
huge
star
player.
player. He's not big. He's not overly fast. But man, does he have mad skills, and he worked on it.
So you know what
He makes
hurts him
good
though?
decisions.
You know what hurts him though is when he goes by and sleuth with somebody.
It
So he goes for knees. He
So-
gets dirty, and
Yeah.
that's bad
Right.
hockey.
right.
So he didn't do it this year. I'll give him
Yes.
credit for that. Right?
Listen,
But years past, including last season, he was dirty as shit,
right.
and he didn't need to be.
No,
He
he
didn't
didn't,
need
need to be. But old habits are hard to break. And if
Man.
you've made a living going through junior A or whatever it is, sorry Canada, I don't know.
I haven't taken my scalpel trying to stab
If-
anybody in months.
If you
You can learn from your mistakes.
if you go, well, he did. He's
But
slowly learning.
He still has a role of getting under people's skin. Like he takes people off their
But you
game.
can do that cleanly.
You can, but it's a lot
I
quicker
gotta
and more
tell you-
effective to do it that way.
Okay, listen. If you've done if you've
Get some
done
milk?
right turns, no. If you've done right turns your whole life,
I got lots of
starting to
fish
do
out of
lefts
one eye.
is a
Yeah.
hard habit to break. So you have to admit, like even the biggest haters have to admit that kid has turned his game around like no other NHL player has ever done.
I will give you this.
Okay.
He is one of the top 10 goal scorers in the league. I will give you that. He is a fantastic goal scorer. He really is. I appreciate his goal scoring,
his
talent,
I
his
think we gotta
passing.
jump off the Marchand train.
No, I won't do it.
So
His creativity
what's
is
that
so
guy's name?
badass that
Point
you
is
guys
still
need to
talking?
respect
Yeah.
it.
Oh, Braden Point. Yeah, let's go to Braden Point. Yeah.
Game 1.
Never
Tampa
heard
Bay
of it.
Lightning. Exactly. Exactly. I don't watch the Lightning.
Is he on Broadway? Tap
Game
dancer?
1.
Yeah.
Right.
That guy makes a power move to the goal and scores just a beautiful highlight reel goal.
Yeah.
And you realize, like, who is this guy that does that move? And he is not big. He's not powerful. But man, he was quick and he was intelligent about the way he took that puck in there.
Yeah.
And he turned around and he got a second goal. The guy is
against
All of a sudden, I'm
a
starting
backup
to
goaltender
starting
that
to have a
probably
little-
shouldn't have been in the playoffs.
Oh
But no,
he
that goal scores on any goalie.
Yeah.
undressed.
Yeah.
All right,
The defense.
fair enough.
He undressed the defense.
So we were talking about this off camera while you were getting everything set up. Was that Braden Point was one of those guys that was not a very high draft pick.
I'm the crew.
Yeah, so it's right. We all have rules. I'm the guy that ordered the pizza. So
That's good.
I brought the whiskey.
Yeah.
That's the crew.
So, he was one of those players that was not very well thought of because he was small. He wasn't, a tall guy, not a lot of mass on him, didn't have the speed, but he did nothing but score a ton of goals, before the NHL.
Mhm.
And he was a low draft pick as a result, came out and Tampa Bay, said, hey, this guy had some talent. We picked him up. He got him cheap. And now he's doing nothing but kicking ass in the playoffs. And that's, and I want to bring that up
Being small
again.
is a hard thing
Well,
to talk your way out of.
And I want to bring that up again. Their best player's not even playing. Steve Stamkos hasn't touched the ice in the playoffs. He's their captain. He's arguably the best player on that team besides Kucherov.
And
Right. He's hurt.
Kucherov's pretty good.
Oh.
He's hurt, right? Was it
So Stamkos is,
concussion or
I'm not sure what it was, but he hasn't played the whole series, and they're still smoking people. I mean, the win the other night with 7.8 seconds, which is just devastating, I think, for the Islanders. But I mean, this team is built to win.
Mhm.
They should have won it last year, but they were all cocky, right? But now they got Stamkos. If Stamkos has come back for the finals, it sucks. But I mean, he's still the impetus of that.
Is it the Selkie? What's the award for the most wins?
Not
The Selkie. What is it?
No, Selke is the
Yeah.
nice guy player.
It's the the President's Trophy.
Yeah, President's Trophy.
President's Trophy?
No.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Check out the big brand on Ben.
Well, and that's the thing is, you guys won the President's Trophy.
Yeah.
So
it is a fucking.
it's a curse.
It's a curse.
It's an absolute curse. This playoff format didn't benefit those teams that were hot at the end of the season. It benefited the teams that were not hot that needed health to get back.
Oh, that's what I want to get back to is you were talking about not having enough tough guys on Colorado.
Yeah.
So is that the key to winning the Stanley Cup in the NHL? Is building your team full of finesse players through the regular season, and at the trade deadline, go out
Picking
and
up
just
couple
getting a
studs.
bunch of hammer fists.
No.
So you play a 4-man line with one guy that his goal is to go out and just
crush
anybody
people
that-
No,
and make
gets
you
in the
pay.
way.
No,
Because it seems like that's the way.
It seems like it works.
Because there's two different games in the NHL.
Yeah.
There's the regular season, which is what the NHL was saying, that we're getting away from the rough stuff. We're
Right.
building teams around skill.
Fast.
Yeah.
Right. And then all of a sudden you get into the playoffs, the referees swallow their whistle, and all of a sudden players are getting molested on the ice, and it doesn't matter.
So that's why I asked that first question, because I felt like that would make a huge impact on who was winning and who wasn't.
but that,
Exactly what I'm
but that brings up my point, though, is that the refs have blown more whistles. They haven't blown them, later in the game when they should. And I mean, that's the thing is if you want to stay consistent, you pull your whistle out and you use it the whole fucking game. You don't use it in just the first or
So
second period.
I
Right?
would
be
not
nice.
complain about the refereeing in the fact that they've been consistent. But what it is some of those non-calls away from the puck are making an impact with injuries and taking players out of their game, because those are some big hits. that they're
Or
not calling.
taking players out of the rush.
Completely.
Well, and that's the thing is I think you're exactly right. I think the playoffs are a completely different season, right? So
It is.
so you have
So
a
at the
season
trade
of,
deadline, do you load up?
but you still have to have players that have
Who do you
talent.
drop?
But you still have to have players that have talent in that group, right? So I'll give you Dallas for instance. So Dallas is a physically bigger team than Colorado, and they beat the shit out of us physically. So
Oh my God.
is it 10-0 yet?
It's 3-1.
Islanders.
Islanders?
Islanders.
Go Isles. Let's go hockey. I want hockey to last as long as possible.
This
So-
won't be uploaded for a week, so
Yeah,
don't
so-
worry about it.
Yeah.
So
And
my-
I think
my-
Tampa Bay is going to win it all. So when this actually comes out, you'll see that I
Go
predicted
Vegas.
correctly.
So here's what I think though is I think that you have a team like Dallas who hasn't changed much. I think that their good offensive physical players, Ben, Sagan, Como, those guys just have gotten more physical. And I, as a hometown guy for Colorado, I'm a little disappointed in some of the plays I saw from Ben. I appreciate Ben, I respect Ben, but he threw a knee into Eric Johnson's knee on purpose. The video shows it.
Yeah.
It was a dirty fucking play. So you don't need to do that though. I don't think winning the Stanley Cup by injuring the other team's players is the way to do it. But
I don't think he's thinking that going in. I
No,
think
he's thinking, I'm trying to-
adrenaline. I'm gonna bury this guy.
Exactly. And I don't disagree.
It's just, oh, that guy skated out of my range.
He's gonna be
I'm
tired.
gonna lean a
he's gonna
knee
be
out
beat
and
up.
fuck him up.
Right.
Like
But
it's all instinctual last second decisions that I don't.
That's why I
understand
appreciated
how-
Ryan Reeves.
Yeah.
So I appreciated Ryan Reeves for a couple of reasons. One is he's physically one of those guys that can go there and knock your head right off your shoulders. He tried to the other night and he got suspended for it. But his shit talk game is elite. He will be in everybody's head on that team at the end of the night.
Yet
You know,
everybody gives Brad Marchand a hard time about that, and then they go and they defend their
because
own
Ryan
player.
Reeves doesn't lick anybody's
So
faces.
everybody
So there's that.
can get bent.
So licking another man's face
In
is
the day of COVID, does
not
he still
only
lick?
borderline homosexual.
Listen.
COVID in the era of COVID, not advisable.
Listen, there's two parties involved here. How did you get your face so close to Brad Marchand
Oh
to
my.
where you
Oh
were
my.
able to
Oh
get
my.
licked by said Brad Marchand?
Whatever drugs
If you
you're
don't
on,
want to
you
get
gotta
licked,
share at the table.
get the fuck back.
Share at the table.
Just get them.
What else do we have to talk about tonight?
What
What else do we have coming up here? We have beer league. We covered NHL stuff.
Mhm.
You want to jump into stuff like the start of the NFL and those kind of things,
Ooh.
and some of the other sports, or do we just roll
new
right on
football,
by
huh?
that?
Well,
Because it's kind of
College
it's kind of
football
a
is
mess.
starting to see some issues to where they might pull back. And
Well-
I hope not.
well, so let's talk about that for a second. So football, for instance, I believe there's high school football being played right now in Idaho.
Mhm.
There's youth football being played
I
right
watched
now in
your junior
Idaho.
high team over here playing. They were practicing.
And they're allowed
Colorado
fans.
canceled their high school season today because they could only have 20 people on the sideline. That is not a football team. So they canceled their whole high school season for football this year.
Wow.
So, again, we talk about sports as being, sports, any sport you play.
Two-stage
is-
sideline.
Well, sports is the most important thing in youth development, in my opinion.
That's-
Socially, psychosocially,
Right. And you
you have
learn
to have-
so much about life through
Oh,
sports.
sure.
You learn how to deal with other people. You're going to learn everything you need to know.
You can shoot them, that'd be great. I have a gun, that's good.
Your dogs are interrupting.
Sorry.
So sports teaches you everything you need to know about the business world, about life, working with other people as a group. Kids need sports.
They need social interaction in a
Yes.
sporting environment. Yeah, I agree.
Now-
I agree.
What you didn't
See, I would
mention.
argue that music probably plays just as
Sure.
same role.
Absolutely right.
Like any extracurricular, something outside of regular school, some activity.
My daughter picked up the trombone. It's horrible.
Well, the trombone's bigger than your
But
daughter. So.
but you're saying sports only, and I'm
No.
I'm just going to caution that with the fact that I feel that music's important.
No.
and
I'm
theater,
emphasizing
music,
like,
yeah, oh,
just
yeah.
something
The arts,
additional.
the arts.
I'm
Or sports.
emphasizing sports because dudes.
Yeah.
And so
and some chicks.
right. Yep.
Thank you.
The ladies.
The ladies.
No, and so what you didn't mention about our league, and this is important, is there's only 5 people allowed on the bench at a time. So we're actually shifting from the hallway. We have a 3-layer shift. Goes from the hallway to the bench to the ice. So as soon as the people come off the ice, they go to the hallway. These people go to the bench, and then the bench people go to the ice, and it circulates like that.
Which I like.
Like cycling,
Yeah.
which maybe some of you have never heard of.
I-
Stationary movement.
So what I'm saying is you could solve this youth sports problem by only having 20 people on the sideline is having 2 sidelines. You have one 20 feet back, you have one 20 feet forward, and coaches just learn to put on their card 2 sets of lines that they rotate in. I mean, football is designed very much like hockey as far as substituting players and stuff like that. So you could do the same thing.
Well, you regularly sub out specific players. There are some players that are kind of core and just in there a lot, like your center.
Yeah.
Like an offensive center, you're not subbing him out
So,
unless he.
no,
Especially,
I don't
especially
agree.
in older.
I don't agree though.
especially
At the
older.
college level, that center's in there a lot,
Mhm.
but that center is usually a 300+ pound guy who needs shifts off. And so you're rotating those guys in and out of plays. You don't see it as much on TV,
Right.
but at the college level, that center gets rotated out a little bit more than people actually realize.
Yeah, but like your wide receivers and people like that that are running much
Right.
more, they're doing much more cardio. Well,
Mm.
the battle on the front line is definitely cardio.
Easy.
Do not let me
Intervals.
underestimate that.
Easy.
Intervals.
I'm a puffy knuckle guy.
But they're,
so
they're definitely doing the sprints and stuff on the sidelines, and they need a minute to breathe. So
Right.
you see those wide receivers changing out, bringing plays in and out, stuff like
Right.
that, especially around high school age. Those are your runners with
Right.
that kind of thing. So keep
Yeah.
fresh legs.
But circling back to our point was that sports are a very integral part of growth as human beings, right?
Yeah.
Whether you're playing golf
Saved my life.
or you're playing a team sport, right? Exactly right. Right. So we're all hockey players. We all have different, golfer, football, not good at either of those except for hockey. But, we all have bounced around.
Hey, I'm a hockey player, but I'm playing golf today.
Sports have defined who we are as people at the basis level, right? We've been able to define who we are with other, and in this case, before we met as a group, with other men, generally speaking, in football and golf, that kind of stuff, right? And as we've come together, we play on a co-ed team. We have 2 or 3 girls on our team who are fantastic people, fit in like a glove. It's a family now.
Hard working players. too.
Right, exactly right. So teams, and I would argue that Amy, for instance, I think is one of our top defensemen.
Absolutely.
And she this is for you, Amy. You believe you're not, you're one of the best defensemen I've ever played.
Gender does not play a role in our team.
It's
at all.
irrelevant. It's totally
It
irrelevant,
really
right?
is. It really
So,
is.
but I want my kids to experience that now, so that when they get to my age, they can not only experience it but respect it, right?
Yeah.
So, the point is for me is that we have to get these kids back to sports, right? So you have a group like Colorado who's shutting down their high school football just because they're afraid of COVID, and I get that.
Get them
but-
back in the
but-
classroom too.
But again, my youngest is playing tackle football at 11 right now, and we have certain rules that we follow. Our game tomorrow is our first one of the season, and he's made 15 new friends just this week because he's out there thumping with other kids, right?
Mhm.
That's for their psychosocial development. It's
Right.
such a big deal.
It is. There's also that and there's something about, and we don't have battle.
I was almost sure you're going to say and the hazing and something.
No.
And take like a side road
No,
down
we're not going.
rabbit hole. Good.
No, I've
Okay.
blacked most of that out. What I was going for in that moment is because we don't have war. We don't go to battle with each other. We don't, and for the most part. I mean, we do have the military, obviously they go to battle, but those guys get tattoos that match each other. Like it joins you. Sports joins you in a way that nothing else does because you took a shot to the head to let a guy go through the line. Like you
develop
and
a
he
trust
saw
and
that. No matter what he was paying attention to, finding the hole, he saw that you took a big hit to break him free. That binds you to somebody. Like I still talk to people that I play high school sports with that are just like, hey man.
And that goes with that, as you say, the arts, like any of that.
Right.
Sports, art, all that. It is huge for development for
Yeah.
kids. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's
100%.
very true for the arts, right? So you have people that played a band together, the best friends for the longest time. People that go through theater together, people that do art together, right?
Mhm.
We always laugh about going to do the wine and painting stuff. I mean, that bonds you,
Yeah.
I mean, sure, alcohol's involved, which is really what's the best about
Very,
adult
very
athletics.
And it is kind of fun.
Yeah, but again, I find that for me, you have to find the things that draw you to other people like you, and want to stay with those people. And hockey does that.
The common interest.
Any common interest, right?
Yeah.
Where you can just be yourself
Bourbon.
and bullshit, right? Bourbon and hot food,
Club.
right? Yeah, exactly right. So,
Yeah.
so I would stress that that's an important thing for kids to learn early on, because when they get to be adults, it's harder to form relationships with people that you want to stay with all the time.
Yep.
As kids, it's simpler, and I think sports is a huge thing with that. The arts is a great thing. Go play in a band, go be in dance club, go do whatever, cheerlead, whatever you have to do, but get your kids out to get them to be active, because you'll never get that
Love
back.
cheerleading.
You'll never get that back.
And allow me to take that to the next topic or discussion point.
You
No,
did flag. Oh,
no, absolutely not.
Oh, you were a flag guy in the
you're a
band?
flag guy, were you?
No, I got
Male
my daughter.
gymnast?
I got my daughter to play hockey when
Oh.
she was a child,
Yeah.
right? So we wanted to get her into the youth hockey program. We got her in a little late. We're not super athletic in our family. We're not those people. So we got her in a little late. She got her ass kicked at hockey. She was going in against, some of the professionals that play in town, their kids, and she got absolutely destroyed.
Guaranteed.
However-
she learned way more.
However, that time she spent doing it, and trust me, there was trials and tribulations, there was disappointment, there was crying, there was stuff that went on. This is my daughter playing hockey in a co-ed
Yeah.
youth league.
Girls cry.
They do. But the greatest thing that came out of that was once she became an adult, one of the first things she did was sought out a adult rec league team in her town and joined up.
The
Then-
friend.
The best thing to come out of that was I got to go down and visit her in Utah and play on her team. I got to sub in, me and my wife,
Nice.
with my daughter on the same team in an adult rec league game. One of the best feelings of the world. Just
Did
to
you light her up in the corners?
No, she was on.
Oh.
We were D partners together.
I dropped her on my own line. Pass the puck!
which was fantastic. When they put the lines together and everything, they didn't really know exactly what was going on, and they found out that it was father-daughter, and we were playing together, and we were both D. And then the other D shifted so that we could play as a D line together. And so we got to pass the puck and skate together, and it was just fantastic.
As a
It was
guy
great
with a
feeling.
daughter,
Great feeling.
I
That's
imagine
huge, right? Yeah.
That's huge.
the play coming down, you looking over and seeing your daughter on the other side of the ice as a defensive partner. I bet there was just a moment of like, oh,
Yeah. The
This
problem was you knew where the pass was going.
right?
The other team could read that all the way down there. They already knew where that pass was going.
So I've been fortunate enough to coach both my kids in hockey now,
Mhm.
and so I coach my son in high school and coach my youngest one in Pee-wees. And the reason I do that is so I can still be there, right? And
Yeah.
it's amazing. They're never gonna. Well, right now they don't love the sport like I do. Someday they will, I hope. But
No.
that goes forever.
Someday they will.
It goes forever though, right? So, and I've told both of them, I'm like, this is a moment in your life.
Right.
It's after this moment that you have to live. And when you get to men's league, so my oldest keeps saying, Dad, I want to come play with you on pickup. He wants to play in Horton's pickup all the time. I'm like, you're not 18. You got to be 18. I'm like, you get 2 more years, then you can come out and we'll skate together. It's gonna be awesome.
My
But he played inline with me this summer with Melanie Cormier's thing.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. I mean, he was good. Everybody loved him. He was, super, and that's the moment I wait for.
Yes.
I'm going to play hockey until I
Yeah.
can play with both my kids.
my daughter asks me every single month, am I old enough to go to the gym with you? Yes, I go to the gym. And
I got
and I
20
gotta
bucks
tell you,
as-
I
I
got
live at the gym.
you
I
gotta
am
be
the gym.
12 years old. She's 10. She goes, you gotta be 12 years old. They won't let you in until you're 12 years old. Every month for
Am I old
2
enough?
years.
On
Am I old enough
record,
to go to the-
I got $20 cash money that says his daughter kicks his ass
Whatever it is.
and physically she's a ninja, so pretty sure she can kick his nose right off his face.
Look, I don't
10
care.
or not,
I don't care what kind of ninja you are or how many belts you have. When the person on the other end outweighs you by 180 pounds, you do not have a chance.
ACL tear. That's all I'm saying. ACL tear coming at you. She's gonna get pissed off one day. Daddy, I want a new iPad. No, you don't.
So she hides.
Kick to the knee. Boom! ACL gone.
So she hides behind the wall, and she'll jump out and do a kick and try to kick me. One day, I caught her ankle with my hand. You should have seen the look.
Just
on
pick her up
face.
and a dangler there.
You should
Oh,
have
look
seen
at the
look
order for
on
the
her-
tree.
Okay, my dad knows some stuff.
And we know that's not true. You just
Listen.
got lucky.
Listen, doesn't matter what happened.
All right. So
Listen,
what else?
this one, this thing is called hot sauce.
Yeah.
And I feel like you guys have kind of limped in on the whole hot part of the sauce. I've had 4 slices of this pizza. What have
I didn't want to interrupt you. You're talking. I want to get more.
I had one, and I'm good. And I made it through a little bit of sweating, no hiccups. Good.
It wasn't as hot as I thought, but it was good.
It's
So,
plenty hot.
so I think we start to wrap this up and
Yep.
finish our pizza and watch some hockey.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. And then I think
Screw you guys.
special thanks to Arctic King Hockey.
Woo!
Dude,
Roll it out.
Dude,
Right
by
there.
the way, stand up. Show this jersey
that jersey.
because this jersey
Legitimately
is
nice.
this
His New Jersey legit logo
this is
available on the site, arctickinghockey.com.
awesome.
Um,
Huge fan of that jersey.
so play hockey, have fun, love your kids, do what you got to do, have fun, and go anybody but Boston. All
All
right.
right, be late.
What the?
Are they still in?
Hey, be sure to tune in, watch us, share.
Please.
Oh yeah, share, because nobody seems to care.
And believe it or not, we like comments so we can get better. So
Right.
we're trying to do stuff that you guys want to hear.
And be mean too. Don't be afraid to be mean because that stuff's hilarious.
Ben loves that.
We can
He
take
likes
it.
being mean.
I like that.
All right. Good job, boys. Let's get some pizza.
Drink.
We had to add another camera in my house.
Oh, I put that camera on.
Do you have some paper towels up here?
I will.
Yeah, because I'm gonna probably be crying